going to cover a little bit about what's happening around us, and then give you one potential model how you could actually manage the innovation and the digital, and basically I'm thinking how to go further. So that's what I'm going to cover. But hey, let's start with one picture. Okay, our clicker is actually not working, so I need to move a little bit here. Oh, that's good. That's a better one. Who happens to know who is this Asian happy person in a picture, smiling and having a very, very strong feeling? Anybody here? Nobody. Are you sure? I will tell you. It's a person called Lee Sedol. And Lee is playing game of Go. Who has heard about the game of Go? Go? Anybody? Yeah, look at a little bit hands, like 20–30% have heard about the game of Go. Well, game of Go is an ancient game, in Chinese game. It's actually very interesting, a little bit like a chess, but far more complex in a way. And this Mr. Lee here, I mean, he's the world's best player in game of Go. I mean, he actually 18 times world champion. So he's a pretty good one, I believe. And the thing is, this game of Go is actually played very widely. I mean, in Asia, even here in Finland and others, so it's a pretty popular game. And why he's so happy, he's actually going to have a tournament against a computer, which is quite funny. I mean, you know, in game of chess, I mean, computer beat humans like, well, 15–10 years ago. Fine, but in a game of Go, that's a totally different story. And let me explain why. So if you take a game of Go, and it's basically 19 times 19 board, quite simple in a way. You have a white and you have a black stone, or empty. But the rules are simple, but actually when you go deeper, it gets seriously complex. So the amount of legal moves in a game of Go equals this number here. Which is quite a big number. It's 170 numbers in that number. And actually, when you take like 81st numbers, round halfway of this figure, you end up for the amount of atoms in an observable universe. And then you go ahead more like 80–90 numbers. And that's the amount of legal moves of a game of Go. Which means you just can't compute it through. It's impossible. You can't compute it. You're playing it by intuition, by patterns, by feelings. I mean, you know, seeing the right move. So, by definition, you know, it's impossible for computers. Because computers are good in calculations, they're good in like, crunching the numbers, but they're very bad in intuition, they are bad in the patterns. That's something we, as humans, do. So that's why Lee is so happy. He's going to play a game against Google's DeepMind, and it's going to be 5 games. And the question is, of course, I mean, who's going to win? And Lee is saying in the press conference before the tournament, it's me, obvious. The question is whether I'm going to lose any single game. That's the question. And of course, he's happy because he's going to win a big pile of money out of that competition, a lot of nice. So it's a good one. So that's why Lee is so happy of playing this game a couple of weeks ago. Well, that's a picture of him after 5 games. The question was not whether he was winning totally, whether Google was winning any of the games. The question was whether Lee can win any single game. He was defeated 4–1. He won 1 game in a very, very thinly, but he won it. And the thing is, he didn't play badly. There was a huge audience looking for it. Like, I mean, a lot of speculation, the web, everything. It was a stream alive. And everybody was saying Lee was playing some of his best games ever. He played beautifully, he played really, really, really good. He was really defending humanity. And still he lost. And it was only a year ago, there was a lot of experts saying it's impossible for the computer to beat a good championship player in a game of Go in the next 2–3 decades. And in 1 year's time, the equation has changed. And now it seems to be quite easy, actually. And that's what is happening around us. So basically, the computing power, the thinking what's going on with the technology is totally changing the way how we are thinking what is possible. And that is amazing. And that is something we need to be thinking about. So what to do with that? And then if you a little bit look around, I mean, today, this morning, it has been everything about the digital, about the fantastic journey planners, and about the disruption in general, about data, big data. And that's very much a reality. So these are the extracts from a Financial Times. So it's not from Wired, or it's not from any kind of a techie magazine or IT magazine. It's Financial Times, the prime business newspaper in the world. And these are from a couple of weeks. And you know, I try to pick up the ones which are not saying Google, are not saying Airbnb, but are saying something else, like Airbus, or BMW, or Philips. I mean, this kind of established, big business companies, and all of these are very active around things. I mean, we speak about the drones, we speak about artificial intelligence, we speak about self-moving driving cars, we speak about the actually self-operating companies. That's a curious one. In the middle of this automated company raises equal of $120 million, and it's an automated company. It's an investment company run by computers. What humans have done, created that one, given it money, and hoping it's making nice bets. And that may be the future. And because of that, even in the front page of the Financial Times, we have topics like how to robot-proof your children's career. And tons of similar type of messages. So it's quite curious what is going on, and this is everywhere. So basically, the impact of digitalization is impacting every single industry. It's impacting every single organization, every single individual. And you in transportation, you are in the very center of it. I mean, media as an industry was disrupted first, very heavily. And I think you're next, in a way. If you think about what's going on with all these fantastic things like self-driving cars and even hyperloops and you name it. I mean, a lot of things happening there. So what does this mean then, if you think about typical organization? So what's going on? Well, in a typical organization, the business expectations far exceed IT realities. So we come for the conference like this, we're speaking about the city planner, for example, we're speaking about things, what we should do in order to be relevant. And same time, in most of the organizations, we still have challenges with the fundamental IT. Which means that there's huge expectations coming from top management, coming from the customers, from the audience, from politicians, that you need to do things. You need to change it. You need to use now this drone-based thing. You need to use artificial intelligence. Hey, open your data. Use artificial intelligence to do something clever. And same time, in some parts of your organization, somebody in IT is thinking, should I roll out Windows 10? And that's a challenge. So we have a huge gap. And that gap is not going to go anywhere. So the question is, how you deal with that? The logic of this conference is very much about the IT as well. I was browsing through the presentation slots down there, and most of them were about IT. How to deal with smart cards, how to deal with the road planner, how to deal with something else. So it's all about IT. And at the same time, we have this gap. So what to do with that? Well, if you take a look of some of well-known names in our industry, one of them being Gartner, which is specializing on the business of IT and the advisory around IT. And another one is McKinsey, one of the most well-known business advisory companies in the world. So if you look for these two thought leaders in the industry, what they are telling that in order to be relevant, in order to stay relevant in your development, you need to find a way to have several modes how you do development. It can't be everything agile, but it can't be everything slow either. And that's something to think about, because it's not only about the IT, it's about the whole organization. So how you actually develop your things. So when you have all these demands coming on your way, what's the way how you approach? Is it just like one model? Is it always one model fits all? Or do you have several models how you do things? And when you think about it, it's not only about the speed. The element of speed is clear. So this element how quickly you can do things, or how robust you can do things. But it's also about how well you can predict what you are getting out of the development activity you're doing. And quite often, in the traditional organizations, and often in the public sector as well, you want to predict what you get out. You're not ready to take risks. You're not ready to take, the next step if you don't know what is coming out of that. Well, that's how we have all been trained. I mean, that's the typical way how you do like a management in a bigger organization. You expect ROI, you expect some kind of a business case, you expect some kind of like a clear plan, how we're going to walk this through. The trouble is that in this kind of a speed of the world, it's very hard to predict what we actually are getting out of some of these activities. So most likely, in order to stay relevant, you need to establish some kind of way how to do non-predictable things. Things where you are looking for code, you're code mining actually. You have a type of a loose idea, that's about it, what we want to get. And then you try to get out of it something. And the question is how to deal with that. So, what McKinsey and what Gartner says, that in order to stay relevant in this kind of a world, which is giving us a huge amount of opportunities, you need to develop 2 or more formal, distinct development modes. Predictable and non-predictable, and something between. And the tricky thing is, first of all, to create that kind of a model. Secondly, to decide what mode you pick. So, in this case, is it the predictable mode or non-predictable mode? And when you have been developing something using that predictable or non-predictable, the next question is how you make sure that you actually are capturing the innovation. You're not only creating it, but you're making it sustainable. And that's where we have the challenges. Now, before I show you one model, how you could actually approach this, let's test this mobile tool, Kerkomen tool. So, now you everybody, take your phone, the one you have been downloading the app. You go for the polls, it's at the front page. And in that poll, you go like a third one, create and capture value. That's the name of my presentation. You click that one, and you should get 4 options. Options are, and the question I have for you is, do you have several formal modes of developing things? And the answer options are, no, one mode fits all. 2, no, one mode fits all, but we have been speaking about it. 3, yes, but the modes are not clearly defined. It's more like ad hoc. We do these things, of course, occasionally. It's more flex, but I mean, we haven't any kind of formal modes. And 4, yes, we have 2 or more formally defined modes how we develop things. And let's see where we end up. Right? So now it seems to be developing nicely. Couple of more answers and then I can a little bit comment. I see that people are busy. Now, only problem with this kind of mobile polls is that people tend to stick on their email after that. So once you have been voting, you can maybe drop it back on your pocket. Okay, but let's see. So what this tells me now, that if I look for you as audience, I mean, most of you have already realized that actually it doesn't work with the one-size-fits-all model. However, you haven't formalized it. So it's ad hoc. My guess is, in many organizations, you actually have one formal mode, but you allow exceptions. You interpret the rules a little bit loosely, or then you just say, yeah, but in this case we do it a little different. Now in this case, we don't need to now take this into account. So that's the way how you do it, most likely, because of looking for this. So yes, but the modes are not clearly defined. So my proposal to you is that I think you should take a look at it. If you need to that much actually bend your rules, most likely there is a place for a formal way of doing things faster, more agile, more non-predictable. Because the problem is, if you don't do it in a formal way, quite easily that becomes just an excuse why do you not follow rules, and you're not getting the benefits out of it. Because when you do agile, when you do non-predictable things, you need to be crystal clear why you do it and what you do and what you want to get out of it. You need to be crystal clear how you kill it if it's not getting what you want. So think about it, and looking for this poll, I think it's clear that's probably the case. Well, so let's think about what we can do then. And there's one model. Simple model. I mean, you can go in a very, very sophisticated models about how you pick up the mode, but that's the one which is a simple one. So there's a 2 axes, first of all. So we have a horizontal axis, which is about how well you know what you want to get out of your innovation project, your development project. Do you know it very well? Because occasionally people know it very well. That is what we want to get out of this. This is a clear goal. We want to enable something. We want to gain some kind of specific benefit. Or we want to gain, something like that. And it's quite clear in somebody's mind. This is what we want to get out. And if that, then you are there on the top side of this horizontal axis. However, quite often when we are discussing with the organizations, we also see that they don't know exactly what they want to get out of it. Occasionally. So there's a development projects which are not clear. It's more that, we think there's something developed and we would like to behave differently. We would like to be relevant on this. I mean, we have never been doing, you are a bus coach and we have never been doing any bicycle thing, and now I think we should do something wrong with that. But we don't know exactly what it is. And if that's the case, then you are in the bottom of that same axis. So that's the horizontal axis is about how well you know what you want to get out of it. And be frank about it. The vertical axis is about, other axis is about actually how much there's a solution in the market. So do we speak about very immature market, something where the technologies are not clear yet, where there's mainly like startups operating, where we don't have like a understanding about the solutions, everything is emerging. Or do we still speak about the market where everything is actually pretty clear? There's a lot of solutions, there's a proven technology, many of you colleagues have been using other companies, other organizations, and they know this is how it works. It has been tested. So that's the another axis. So basically, horizontal is this and vertical is this. So vertical is about the idea, how well you know it, and horizontal is about how much the market, how mature the market is. And then, when you are thinking out these two axes, so how well you know your idea, how mature the market is, you actually get quite a nice model, how to pick up the mode. And to make it simple, that's the way how we are thinking about it. So if you know very well what you want to get out of your idea, if there's a very clear decision about it, or the drivers are clear, and if there's a lot of solutions in the market. So if you go down there in the exhibition hall and you see 5 players providing almost the same solution, most likely there's quite a lot of maturity in the market. On the other hand, if you have an idea where actually nobody is telling you anything on the exhibition hall, most likely you're more on the emerging side. So anyway, so if you know the idea, if there's a lot of maturity, it's all about efficient execution really. It's about, planning what you do. You can even use classical waterfall models or whatever. You can even outsource part of that, and just make sure you get it done in an efficient way. Then on the other hand, if you don't know what you want, if there's a little unclear what you actually want to get out of it, and at the same time, if there's not that much market maturity about the basic offerings, then we start to speak about the real innovation model and fail fast. So then we need to speak about the models where you are okay failing. You are okay jumping into the project without knowing whether you are going to get your money out of it, whether it's going to work. But it needs to be fast. You need to fail fast. It can't be that you are trying it to do 3 years and then we say, well, it didn't work. It's about the speed of failing, trying and then trying again and then trying again. An organization accepting it's fine. Because in many organizations we don't accept failure. You can't enter a project that might fail. It's ending your career. It's going to be terrible in terms of publicity you get. And that's very much where the non-predictable mode goes. It's about allowing as an organization to do things where you may fail, but just do failing fast. And then between these, there's a huge area of iterative development, which may be iterative software development, maybe iterative configuration, and typically it means something is clear. You know the idea well enough to develop what you want, or there's a lot of market maturity in the products, so it's easy to configure and test those in order to get the fit in place. But when we are in an agile mode, good to remember, most times it's predictable. You are quite sure you are going to get out the results you want. Okay, you just do it in an agile manner. It's a different thing when you go for the project where you really may fail. think about the real innovation, real disruption and groundbreaking things, you most likely are going for that area, for the real disruption. And you need to develop a mode to do that. When we have been speaking with customers and others about this, I mean, typically they say that around 15–20% of the projects are in the efficient execution model, around 60% around the agile iterative model, and around 20–15% again on the lessons learned, this kind of a learning fast, failing fast mode. So the majority of the projects you do are most likely predictable still. So that's the model. Think about it, whether you can use it, whether there's some way how you can apply this for your decision-making process, how to pick up the mode. But then there's one more thing I want to speak about this model. And it's about how you ensure that when you create innovation, when you create a new project, that it's not staying as an isolated island, but it gets back for your basic operation. Because quite often what happens, what we see happening, organizations engage with different types of players, they have some innovation teams, some specific ways of doing innovation, failing fast, which is great, but they never find a way to bring that innovation back for their normal operation. And if that's what you do, you're going to get a very nice proof of concept, some lab operations, but you're never going to get it so that it really would impact your business or your operations. And what we typically say, that you create new value in a project, but then you capture the value in a process. And think about the difference in all organizations about the project versus process. And when it comes back for the processes, then the question is, you take the idea, you take the innovation, you think about how you make it sustainable, how you make it scalable, and you maybe need to tune it. And then you move back for the basic rules, how you run processes. It should be repeatable, it should be no exceptions, it should be something that really works, and then you go back for the innovation loop. And this is something many organizations miss. So basically, they are able to develop a way of developing new things, but they're not able to pull it together as a part of sustainable process. And that's something you need to master as well. But having these two things in place, so a mode, to basically a way to pick up the mode, a formal mode for innovation, and a way to pull from the innovation to the process, you are able to stay relevant. And you are able to deliver changes needed. And this brings me back for the final recommendations. What you should do in your organization. First of all, think about it. And if you really believe that actually, most likely we should have 2 or more modes, unlike being an ad hoc, like most of you are. Have a discussion around it. Because it's not only about IT, it's very much about the management willingness. It's about your different type of approval processes, it's about your finance process, it's about your risk management, the way how you source things. It's about the way how you as an organization behave. And there needs to be a common feeling that here we need to have a formally 2 or 3 modes. So get the appetite first. And when you get the appetite, then you are in a much more better position to think about it. And then it comes back for transparent rules. Because there will be a lot of debate. So what you can do in a fast mode, what you cannot, what should be predictable, can I do this kind of fast failing things or not? So establish a very transparent set of rules. Use, for example, the model I just showed you, or invent something similar. Simple, so people can see it. And when you have transparent rules, the next thing is define policies. So when the innovation project is ready, what then? So what is the policy of moving the innovation as a part of your sustainable process? So transparent rules for picking up the mode, and then a clear policy, what happens then? Which part of the organization takes care of the actual process, how you make that handle. And then the fourth, get it going. Don't wait too long. You're doing it already, as you can see here. I think we have heard these files that there's a lot of change happening in the industry. All the cities here are trying different type of things and everything. So you have things ongoing already. So pick up something, test the mode, get it working, and when you find something, okay, this doesn't work, then tune it. don't try to plan this, in a too detailed manner, but get the basic principles in place, appetite in place, rules in place, and then just start to execute. And that's the way how we believe that you can stay relevant in this kind of a world where everybody are overwhelmed about the opportunities and threats around us. We're overwhelmed about everything happening. There's a huge, huge expectation that you need to do things, and you start to easily go, getting worried about, are you able to do it? But the way of using this kind of model, you are able to deliver, you are able to show your relevance, and you stay relevant as an organization. So with these words, I would like to hope everybody a nice time in a conference. I hope you learn a lot here, you get some good ideas, and I hope you are able to stay relevant in this digital world. Thank you very much.